how do I actually write my book? How do I get started? And finally, share my story so I can create something meaningful for the world. You have rich stories and meaningful advice nobody really wants to hear. Especially if you have a YouTube channel, you have lots of things to tell and you're already writing stuff anyways. Obviously, you're figuring out what type of content that you're going to put on YouTube. You should be writing your first nonfiction book. People can actually hold it in their hands. I'm going to share with you how to start doing that without being overwhelmed. I've got you covered with tips on getting started, avoiding overwhelm, avoiding writer's block, and actually being able to fit it in your already busy lifestyle. I'm going to help you find your voice so that you can avoid the frustration of picking something up and never completing it. I get it. I first decided that I was going to write a book when I was 21. I was coming home after, relationship gone wrong. Let's just put it that way. And I felt the urgency to write a book and share with other girls, young women just like me, all the things they could sidestep. I already knew I had things to share. I went in circles. I always thought I had to be inspired to write or get a degree to be called a writer. I figured I'll just write when I feel like it. And guess what? The book didn't get written. It got picked up, put down, picked up, put down. Inspiration wasn't enough. I needed a plan. And it wasn't until 2021 when I guess I would have been less than 50 at the time. I'm 51 right now. Let's not do math. It's not been my strong suit. I know it's just a few years. But anyways, when I finally did have a plan and have a structure in place, the entire book just oozed out of me. And here's the beautiful part. Since I had started it and stopped it, started it and stopped it, once I had a framework in front of me, I realized that at least 50% of the book was already written. I just needed to caress it and put it together in a structured format so that every time I sat down, I knew exactly what I was going to write. Once I had a plan and a clear purpose and I put it inside my morning routine, I was off to the races. And within 90 days in 2021, when the world was dark, it was not only dark because we were still deep into the pandemic, but also it was winter. The mornings were dark and the evenings were dark. In the quiet, early mornings with my happy light in front of my face, I began to write and put it together. And within 90 days, I had my book written, edited, published on Amazon in 90 days. I had a clear vision and I did it. I was able to do that. This framework that I had made it doable, kind of like following a marathon plan or a challenge. You know exactly what you're going to do every single day. It made it enjoyable. I never had to search, wonder, scratch my head, look at an empty, blinking screen. I knew exactly what to do. And it helped me finish my book faster. My name is Karen, and on this channel, we celebrate life between the ups and downs and through the decades. What if you don't write a book? That's fine. But when you put off writing, the stories and the life lessons that you want to pass along, they fall on deaf ears because the ears that you want to hear the message are not ready to receive the message yet. And with everything becoming AI, it's so much more important to get our true, authentic stories, messages, and lessons out into the world. Writing a book does not necessarily mean you need to publish it. It could just be a memoir passed down to a family member. These are stories unique to you and things you've overcome that say who you are. I guarantee people that will be helped by your words, but not if they're not in a place where they can be found. If you have a YouTube channel, you should be writing a book because You don't know, like, I love YouTube, and I hope this never happens, but if YouTube falls down, do you have the archive? Are you keeping all your videos somewhere else that you could pass along? Maybe you already have a book written. You just need to transcribe some of those videos and put them together with a framework. Is this getting your juices flowing a little bit? With something tangible, something that we can hold in our hands. No matter what becomes of this world, this time capsule of generation that we're in. Okay, Gen Xers, you know what I'm talking about. We had the tape deck CDs hanging on our shoulders that were like as big as a house. We had so many things. We went through a VHS. We've seen the records, the 45s, all of these digital advances, and now we're seeing AI. A lot of people are writing books and handbooks with AI. Stories are being crafted that are not real stories. Doesn't that make it even more important to create something that can be held in the hand that maybe 500 years from now, somebody can pick up and read it? We want to keep this activity alive. We want to show the next generation what it's like to capture your creativity and put that into something. Because if we don't continue to keep this alive, it's going to fade away and they're not going to know what it is. Your words and your stories can impact through the decades. Let's dive in and how you can make writing a regular part of your life. Just start small. It doesn't have to be monumental. You can just like 15 minutes a day stacks up over time. When I wrote this book, you might think that I put myself in a echo chamber for 2 weeks and didn't come out. But no, I worked just 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week. I took weekends off, and that's it throughout the entire process, the writing, the editing, the preparing it for KDP, the launching, and I had someone do the cover for me. The next book that I'm writing, I'm working on the cover myself and doing the whole thing, and it has taken me longer. The second thing you need to do is let go of perfection. The best way to write is when you're first getting the entire idea out of your head and onto paper, is just like write like no one's watching. And you can do this on the computer, you can do this freehand, however you choose to write. Just let it flow out of you. Let go of the perfection because you go back to edit it later. That beautiful state of flow that comes out of your brain at first, that first draft, is always the most impactful and soulful. When you're connected to something that allows things to flow through, that's the most beautiful feeling of art. And with practice, that will become more of a natural flow state. The third thing that is really important is to find your own style. Don't compare your writing to others. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they decide to write a book is they start to look at their topic and look at their genre and go and look at what everybody else is doing. And that does have a time and a place. But when you're first starting out, that can actually be the thing that breaks your enthusiasm. I have so many stories of where I dove deep head first into things before I actually looked around to see what other people were doing. And it was in those cases that I had the best joy within the process. Finding your joy within the process makes you get rid of any comparison because that is the thief of all joy. You don't have to have proper grammar or sentence structure. Allow your true writing style and writing voice to come out. You want it to be conversational, be conversational. You want it to be structured, be structured. Allow yourself to find it without looking for something. If you're a big reader, you might find that you in tune with their style of writing. And I'm not saying to block that because it's going to be different because it's coming from you. It's going to be different because it's your stories. Finding your style is very similar to a musician finding the style of music that they want to perform. There are these different genres already there, but it's up to you to find it without comparing yourself, because that's where the magic happens. If this has been helpful, I want to hear from you. What is your biggest takeaway so far? And this would probably be a great time to hit that subscribe button, because I am dedicating an entire playlist coming up specifically to helping you with your framework of a creative nonfiction book, which is what I would call this. A creative nonfiction is a blend between your personal stories, like it's a memoir, but you're also teaching something. So your takeaways from certain things. And I'm going to teach you how I structured this. A lot of times when we're creating videos and stuff, we're like, oh, let's keep it short and sweet. People don't need to know the whole story. And maybe you're not ready to tell the whole story. That's where writing comes in really beautifully, because you don't have to tell these stories. Allowing stories to come and flow through you helps you to connect the dots with anything you might need to process. One of my mentors gave me this great advice. The best stories are stories that you can have a three-way conversation with. So that means you know the story from your point of view and from other points of view. And you've processed it through all points of view, no longer placing blame. You've allowed yourself to heal during the process of writing. Mend a relationship with that inner child, if you allow it to go deep, as well as creating a legacy. You don't have to publish it. The whole reason behind the framework is so that you're not sitting there like, what am I going to journal on today? What am I going to write today? Let's face it, if you're a Gen Xer like me, anywhere between your 40s and 50s and 60s, and maybe even beyond, there's still things that you're figuring out that you really want to figure out. And we have more time. My kids are gone. I have my own business with my husband. We are at home. So I have the flexibility of how I schedule my mornings. And I know I'm not alone. In this age class, we typically have a little bit more flexibility and the desire to find out more about ourselves, like why we tick the way we tick. I'm not exaggerating when I say writing is the window to finding those answers. So now that you know why sharing your story in the form of a creative nonfiction book is important, you might be wondering how to outline or structure your book. I'm going to link a video as soon as it's ready. So make sure you're subscribed if it's not there already. It's coming next week. That breaks down a simple method to organize your ideas without getting stuck in the details. I want writing to be a rewarding habit for you to enjoy, just like I have. So that's it for today. I'm looking forward to chatting with you in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.